everyone. Thank you for being here today. We're going to get started since it's just a few minutes after 10. My name is Ashley Gadiano. I'm the Director of External Affairs at the Connecticut Institute for Refugees and Immigrants. We have a lot of wonderful partners here today, and so I want to get started and let you all hear from them. Just quickly, you're all witnessing a humanitarian crisis unfold in Afghanistan, and here in Connecticut, CIRI stands ready to provide life-saving legal and social services, as we have done for 103 years now. We're unwavering in our commitment to resettle individuals, help them heal from trauma, and rebuild their lives no matter where they come from or what crisis they have endured. We have spent the last few weeks fielding hundreds of calls from Afghans, helping individuals apply for humanitarian relief for family members overseas, and preparing to resettle Afghans right here in Connecticut. We're fortunate to be in a state like Connecticut, which stands ready to welcome refugees and provide them with the support they need to begin a new life. We know firsthand from decades of resettlement experience that the key to successful integration is community support and collaboration. When we have buy-in and support from people like Governor Lamont, Attorney General William Tong, Mayor Rilling, Mayor Ganim, members of our faith-based community, fellow nonprofit agencies, universities, state legislators, and more, we're able to take a collaborative and holistic approach to resettlement. Over the coming weeks and months, we anticipate resettling more than 100 Afghans in Fairfield County. These are individuals that, as you'll hear, have endured immense trauma, fleeing their homes and being evacuated to the United States. In order to ensure that everyone has access to all of the support they need, CIRI just this week launched our Afghanistan Relief Fund. This fund will ensure that CIRI can provide high-quality services, as well as housing and other supplies to every Afghan that arrives in Connecticut. There's more information on the fund, as well as other volunteer opportunities on our website, and I'm happy to take questions when we're done. For now, I want to get Attorney General William Tong up here because I know he has to leave, and then we'll bring up our CEO and President.
Thank you. I'm sorry I have to jump the line. As you may have seen in the last 24 hours, there's a lot going on in the Purdue Pharma bankruptcy and our fight against the Sacklers. So I have to get back to my desk and on a Zoom for that. But it was beyond important for me to be here this morning, if only briefly. Thank you, Ashley and Susan and our team for your work, and CIRI. So let me just say a couple of things that I think are really important for us to express together. Number one, Connecticut welcomes our Afghan brothers and sisters and refugees and everybody who needs our help. And I was just speaking with the governor yesterday about this issue. I believe he's deployed members of the Connecticut National Guard to New Jersey to help with bringing people in and processing people as they arrive. I know that we're ready with CIRI and also your sister organizations like IRIS up in New Haven to welcome families. And let me just say, on behalf of the state of Connecticut, on behalf of the Office of the Attorney General, we're ready to do whatever it takes to make sure that people are welcomed, that they're cared for, and that they land here and settle here safely and properly and with support and love. Let me also remind everybody, I'm looking at my good friend Tony, this is personal for a lot of us. So when I was a kid in West Hartford, Connecticut, that was when we first started seeing refugees, Hmong, people from Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia in the Hartford area. And I have said exactly 10,000 times in public settings, I'm the son of immigrants. I say it over and over again. And I remember as a kid that I differentiated between me as a son of immigrants and the people that came from Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos as refugees. And I remember otherizing them and seeing them and their experiences different from mine. But if you've heard me speak about my experience, you know that my father came here on a tourist visa, overstayed his welcome, and was at one point undocumented. And I have come to understand over the years how in God's name did my family, both sides of my family, end up in Hartford, Connecticut, of all places? And I know it's because both sides of my family ran from war, in the War of Japanese Aggression, World War II, genocide and hunger, violence. That my father ran from homelessness and violence and hunger. That my grandparents literally boarded ships running from fire raining down from the sky. And my grandparents never returned to see their parents again. When my grandparents went back to China in the 80s, their parents were gone. And they never went back to the life that they knew and the communities they grew up in and the family they loved and the family that nurtured them and supported them and made them who they are. And they ran from hunger and war and poverty and certain death if they had stayed. And so we are, if anything, refugees. And maybe you're Attorney General today, but I will always be a son of refugees. And I think it's really important that we remember that these are our people that are coming here. These are our neighbors, these are our family. And that's why we have to do everything we can to welcome them. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney General Tong. Going to bring up our President and CEO, Susan Schnitzer, and then I'll be bringing up the Superintendent of Bridgeport Public Schools, followed by Martine Derritt, our Refugee Services Manager. So Susan.
Thank you, and my gosh, thank you to the Attorney General. What beautiful words, and I don't know that anything I could say would be any more impactful. But what I do want to do is welcome you all here again today. Thank you for supporting this effort today, for supporting CIRI for decades, and also for making Connecticut a welcoming home for refugees and for immigrants. We are working with our partners here today, some of them you'll hear from, and also our local, national, and statewide partners to ensure that we have the systems in place to welcome these Afghan evacuees who are coming here, coming to Connecticut to rebuild their homes. Through our programming, we are not only welcoming folks, and Martine will talk a little bit more about our experience, but we have a holistic care model. So we are set to address any issues, any needs people have in the short, mid, and long term. Our Immigration Legal Services team has a list of over 500 individuals now stuck in Afghanistan or overseas, and they're helping with our pro bono partners to apply for humanitarian relief so they can come and join their family members here in the U.S. The overwhelming majority of folks who are still stuck overseas are relatives of interpreters and those who had worked with the U.S. government and are at extremely high risk right now. Our victim services programs are working with survivors of torture, human trafficking, sexual and domestic violence, and we're ready to help those folks heal when they come here. It may not be the first thing they're looking for, right? We need to get food, clothing, shelter, but this is the long-term impact of living in a war-torn country. And we also have our refugee services team who works tirelessly to help people rebuild their lives here in Connecticut and here in the U.S. As Ashley said, we're expecting about 100 of the Afghan evacuees to come up and resettle here in Connecticut. We're also expecting almost 200 folks fleeing violence in other parts of the world to come here and resettle through CIRI in Connecticut. So this is going to be a great year for us, a big year for us, and we really do need and appreciate all of your help. Not just right now, well, there's a crisis and it's in the news, but for the next few months and few years as we work through this crisis. So thank you all again.
And now Bridgeport Superintendent Michael Testani. How can you guys hear in the back?
Not well.
Not well. All right, let's see here. Let's try this out.
Thank you. Good morning.
On behalf of Mayor Ganem, the City of Bridgeport, and the Bridgeport Board of Education, we look forward to the opportunity to welcome these children and families into our school community. We recently opened a newcomer arrival center located at 1 Lincoln Boulevard as part of Central High School, where the students and families from outside of the country who are coming here into Bridgeport have an opportunity to go and be transitioned into our schools, provide services for not only the students but also the families. So again, we look forward to the opportunity to welcoming these students and families into our school community. We will do everything possible to support them. We know this is a traumatic time for many, and as you can see, there's a huge community here, not only in Bridgeport, but in the surrounding area for these folks. And we're prepared, and we're grateful to be part of the process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Martine Dare is CIRI's Refugee Services Manager, and she's going to tell you a little bit about what it's like for us to welcome refugees to Connecticut.
Hi, good morning everybody, and thank you so much for coming today. First of all, I want to share a little bit of good news. So yes, we are prepared to receive Afghans as we have been prepared to receive any other refugees. In the last couple of weeks, with the news of the arrival of Afghans, we have been preparing ourselves with housing. We've been asking for some donations. We have received gift cards. We have received funding. We have received hygiene products. We have received so many calls providing housing for refugees coming in. So for me, this is really great news. We have been working in the office daily, talking to Afghans who were resettled by CIRI and those who have not been resettled by CIRI, but who are aware of our efforts and who are able to come. So we have been able to provide case management to them, to listen to their stories, and also to help them and assist them in guiding them in how to apply for certain visas that would be fitting for them. It has been difficult. Our phones are ringing nonstop. Our emails are, as you can imagine, nonstop as well. But we are doing this work. We are loving that this is giving us a chance to show who we are and what we can do, even in a time of crisis. And I want to thank all of my team, because without my team, there would be no help available. They are calling every day to find housing, to ask for donation, to talk to church group, to talk to synagogue, to talk to mosque, to ask for help. And we are here. We've been here more than 100 years resettling refugees. We can do this. This is not new. It is just that we are adapting to the condition of it, and to knowing that this time we might be receiving quite a large amount of refugees just in one day. And that is the only difference. And for that, we are fully prepared at this time. So I really want to thank all of you for your support, because without your support, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be able to do that. We really need your support. You need to let everybody know that we are here and that we are ready. And so with that, I thank you so much for having us and hosting us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Martine. Congressman Jim Himes couldn't be here, but Jimmy Tickey, his district director, is here and is just going to say a few words.
Well, thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, CIRI. Good to be with you all. I'm Jimmy Tickey, the Congressman's District Director, and unfortunately the Congressman was unable to be here today, but we want to thank you for putting this together and for all the work that CIRI is carrying out, because the story of immigration and refuge is fundamentally American, and we welcome people fleeing violence and tyranny. Many of our Afghans coming to our country have stood side by side with our armed forces and risked their lives to protect Americans. They stood with us, and they believed in our community, and they believed that we would keep our word to them. And so now we get to return that favor and say that if you stood with us, we will stand with you. Congressman Himes has played a significant role. So far, we have helped 17 Afghans with Connecticut ties flee the country, and we have flagged over 700 individuals to our State Department who are looking to leave. Our office is currently leading the charge in Congress to waive the $575 fleeing fee that Afghans face to apply for humanitarian parole. There are procedures in place that one must follow to ensure the security of the humanitarian parole process, but a $575 fee does hold up the entire process and potentially cost refugees their lives, and it doesn't make Americans any safer. So it's exactly the type of red tape that we are looking to cut in the Congress and through the federal government if we're serious about saving as many lives as we can. Congressman Himes is continuing to prioritize taking care of Afghans in the United States and the humanitarian mission in Afghanistan. So again, I want to thank CIRI, thank you for having me, and thank you for all your work.
Thanks, Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy. And as he mentioned, there is a $575 fee associated with filing for humanitarian relief, and getting rid of that fee is a huge need. So we're grateful to the Congressman for his efforts to get that fee waived. I want to bring up the Chief of Community Service for the City of Norwich, Lamont Daniels, who's here in Mayor Rilling's place due to the storm that took place last night.
And I just want to say we're also joined by Maria Escalera, who is the city's Human Services Director. Maria, thank you for joining me. So on behalf of Mayor Willing, thank you. He sends his regrets. Ida left a little mess for us, so he's doing that. He said go to Bridgeport. But when Susan called me, I said, Susan, let me call Mayor Willing, right? And I called him. He said, tell Susan, we're committed to help. We feel it's our duty. I've been in this role for about 2 years now. My first assignment is when the previous executive director, you all know that about 2 years ago, the state received an influx of unaccompanied minors. My first assignment was coordinate the city. Let's figure out what we can do. Norwalk stepped up to plate. We rise to the occasion. And we're here to say today, Susan, we're committed to the exact same thing. We've already reached out to our community service organizations. I know there's been conversations with our faith-based and religious community. We can't forget about them. And to our federal qualified health centers, they're here and we're ready. So whatever the city can do, Mayor Williams has said, you can count on Norwalk to step in when needed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and that's a terrific segue to bringing up Rev Bernard Wilson, who is the Senior Minister of Northfield Congregational Church in Weston, and also a member of CIRI's Board of Directors.
The poet Emma Lazarus wrote these words: "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse from your teeming shores. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." These are, of course, the words that are inscribed on the base of the Statue of Liberty in New York City. They give expression to the hopes of millions of people who have come to our country, not just for freedom, but to escape war, violence, political intimidation, for economic necessity, and for the chance to make their lives better. Today, we gather as a community to address the urgent and immediate needs of our Afghan families, seeking to start a new life in our nation. As a member of the Board of Directors of CIRI, to ask for your support in welcoming these families to our nation and to Connecticut. We need your help. CIRI is mobilizing all of its resources and collaborative associations with partners to respond to the influx of approximately 100 displaced Afghans who are seeking to rebuild their lives in Connecticut. The needs are many, including legal services, housing, food, and other essentials, and mental health counseling, among others. I want to challenge every faith community to mobilize their resources in response to CIRI's immediate and developing needs. Financial resources are the most immediate need. I urge faith communities to respond vigorously, attend the CIRI Gala on September 12th, or make donations to the organizations. You can, the details are available at CIRICT.org. I also ask that they be prepared to respond to developing needs. CIRI staff will let faith communities and other partners know what is needed and when. You know, this I can say, every religion, regardless of when or where it was established, has as a basic tenet a radical welcome to all, extending care and kindness not just to those who look like us, think like us, or believe like us, but to all, no matter who they are or where they are on their life's journey. This is a time to act and to ensure that CIRI can be successful in meeting the challenges of new Afghan arrivals. All of Connecticut's faith communities have an essential and critical role in this effort, and I solicit your support in making this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Wilson. We're lucky and grateful to have you on our board and to have you a part of our community. Next, I want to bring up a dear friend, Amanda Morgan, who is the Director of Humanitarian Fundraising at Save the Children, and will offer a little bit of a national perspective on what's going on right now.
Thanks, Ashley. Good morning. Thank you, Ashley, for letting me be here today on behalf of Save the Children. So as she said, my name is Amanda Morgan, and I work for Save the Children. And in case you didn't know, we are in Fairfield, Connecticut. So I just recently returned from this weekend working in Northern Virginia at the Dulles Airport, where the majority of Afghan families are arriving. And I was also working at the Dulles Expo Center, where the majority of families are being housed temporarily before they move on to a longer-term shelter. Now, I had the pleasure of playing with children while their parents could sleep, take a shower, figure out their next steps without having to worry about the safety of their children. I also got to see the pure joy that bubbles and hula hoops and pipe cleaners can bring to a kid, and especially Afghan children who have known nothing but conflict their entire lives. With thousands of Afghan families arriving, Save the Children is proud to be among the first faces they see welcoming them to this country, and one of the first organizations that they're literally providing humanitarian aid as they enter the terminal. We are providing mother and baby areas within the airport so their mothers can finally give their babies a change. They can get diapers, they can get wipes, they can get new clothing. And we're also providing private spaces for mothers to nurse their infants, which is critically important so we don't see dehydrated babies. In addition, we've established child play spaces within the temporary shelters, and that is simply so kids can be kids. They need a place that is safe, where they can play, where they can regain a sense of security, and really start to cope with the scary and stressful situation that they've been through. In addition to the play spaces that we're running in Northern Virginia, we're also establishing play spaces and mother and baby areas in El Paso, Texas. This is one of the military bases that they're going to be going to, and there's already about 4,000 people there, and those numbers are increasing every day. So in those spaces, we're providing the same support to families. Safe spaces for their children to play, and also special areas for women and mothers to be with their infants, to nurse them, to take time out, and also to provide them with critical items. So Save the Children really focuses on what those children's needs are, because no one else is. So we provide those items that kids are going to need, and we have special comfort kits that also they'll be receiving while they're there, waiting for their paperwork to be processed and moved on and resettled. So we know that there's going to be a really long road ahead for these families, which is why we are so proud to stand with CIRI to support these families as they come through to this country. And we know that our services and CIRI services are super critical to not only welcome them, as we've said, but to make sure that they are true members of our community and that they become our neighbors. So Save the Children's programs will scale as this crisis increases. You can learn more at savethechildren.org. But again, just thank you so much for letting me come here and tell you about the work that we're doing. Thanks.
Thanks, Amanda, and we're lucky to have SAVE here in the community and to be working with them. Next, I'd like to bring up Molly Belvern, who is the President and CEO of Southwest Community Health Center and a fantastic partner of CIRI's.
Too many steps here. Good morning. It's nice to be here. It truly is an honor to share this podium with so many amazing partners and to join with all of you to make sure that we have a system of care in place for all of our future friends and neighbors arriving from Afghanistan. Coming from a war-torn country with a healthcare system that is in or near collapse, Southwest stands ready to address the complex and unmet medical, dental, and behavioral health needs of all of those resettling in our community. Healthcare for all isn't just our motto, it is our mission and it is our purpose. Our staff treats every patient with compassion and respect, taking the time to get to know them and understand how the experiences that they've lived through has shaped their lives. So thank you in summary to the opportunity to be here. I'd like to extend an early warm welcome on behalf of Southwest and all of our staff to the newest community members. We look forward to working with all of you to create a future filled with hope to each and every person arriving from Afghanistan.
Thank you, Molly. We're wrapping things up. I have Markscheinberg, who is the president of Goodwin University, coming up next. Mark, it's good to meet you face to face. We haven't had the privilege, only over the phone.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm very honored and humbled to be here, actually, with such great community champions. If we learned anything in the last couple of years is that crises actually do illuminate character. And so how we respond to it means more about ourselves than the crisis itself. We are being asked to be here only because we're trying to do what we can at the University of Bridgeport and offering whatever we have for services and housing and things we may have to give to the people coming in. I'd like to remind people that in the moment, these are people of need, but in no time they become our greatest assets. They're our strongest. Anybody that's ever worked with an immigrant community knows that they are our hardest workers. They are tireless. They will make a difference in our community to the good, not to the bad. So let's do this, if it's only to be selfish. Let's make sure these people have a good landing. I would also just like to suggest that when we think about this evacuation in this time, let's make it so that our mental image is not that of people rushing to get on a plane, but it's of people coming in and being hugged and being taken care of. Let the mental picture that's in our head be all the good things that we are, and not the process that led to an evacuation. So I thank you for letting us be here. We're humbly grateful.
Thank you, Mark. And I know a lot of CIRI staff, especially we've got a great team in the back of the room right now, who are ready and excited to hug some Afghan community members. I'd like to bring up Robert Smith from 4CT next. Robert's also a board member at CIRI.
Hello, everybody. So 4CT is a relief what we spun up during COVID times. Our current programs deal with direct financial assistance, meaning that we work with partners all over the state, federally qualified health centers as well, to distribute cash cards to people who need them, right? We trust our partners, and we also trust the recipients of those cards that they know best how to manage their own finances and what they need. And so we look forward to partnering with CIRI, with all these Afghan refugees to help them resettle here above and beyond what's available through federal and state funding. We stand by CIRI and believe that their work is just fantastic, and glad to see all of you here supporting their work. Thank you.
All right, and I wanted to just take a moment to thank some of our state legislators who are here. We have Senator Tony Wong, we have Representative Kristen McCarthy-Vahey, Representative Jen Leeper, Representative Devlin, all sitting nicely in a row. I think I saw Representative Corey Paris pop in. Did I miss anybody else? I don't think so. All right. So with that, I want to end things by saying thank you to CIRI's team and CIRI's board of directors for continuing to support this work and work overtime to welcome Afghans into our community. Thank you all for being here. We have such tremendous partners, funders, community partners, you name it. People have stepped up, and we are so, so grateful. We do have a few minutes to ask any of our speakers any questions if folks have questions. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up, and thank you all for being here and giving us some of your time this morning. Yes.
Can you talk a bit about what the resettlement process looks like when these families arrive in Connecticut? Are you planning to connect them with host families, or what?
Certainly. I'm actually going to let Martine take that question since this is her day-to-day job.
Okay, so we are waiting for them. We already know that 10 of them are on their way to Bridgeport. We have prepared housing for them. So once they arrive, they will receive the same services that are provided to refugees. That entitles housing, case management, enrollment in employment programs, children to be enrolled in schools, enrolled in English classes. They will receive services for the next 6 months through different programmings, and they will then receive what is called refugee services up to 5 years. So we are definitely here and committed to provide them all of the services that any other refugees would be receiving.
Do you all know the total number of refugees coming to the state?
So we are expecting to the state, no, so ourselves we are expecting 100, and then IRIS is also expecting some. I do not know their exact numbers.
We haven't, we're all waiting, IRIS, CIRI, and nationally we should be hearing, we were hoping by the end of this week, how the allocations were going to go. That happens on a national level.
Yep, so our national agencies, the national resettlement agencies, then tell us when we get refugees. We can tell them how many people we are able to accept and receive. So for the members of the Afghan community, we have said we can receive approximately 100, and then for other refugees, about 185. And I just want to make a note right now that we are receiving other refugees on an ongoing basis. We have families arriving today, we have families arriving in 2 weeks, both from Syria, I believe. So while this crisis is happening and we're working to address this, we also have people coming from other areas around the world. Anything else? All right, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it.